What's up, guys? This is Miles here with Sendo Sports, and I'm going to be starting a new mini series of 6 videos about cities that I think would be great for NBA franchises. Now, I'm going to be limited into cities that don't have teams already, so I'm not going to put a third team in New York or Los Angeles, even though those might work decently. I'm going to be choosing 6 new cities, or at least 6 cities that don't have teams in them right now, so that can mean whatever you want it to mean. So the first city I'm going to go over is Mexico City, and of course, Mexico. Now, I live in North Carolina, and I don't know too much about geography, but something I did find out earlier this year when I was doing a Kawhi Leonard and Toronto's market size video was that Mexico City is the largest city in North America. And that's kind of mind-blowing because it's not talked about nearly as much as any of the other cities. And as you see, the other 5 top 6 cities all have teams: New York, LA, Toronto, Chicago, and Houston. And again, I don't know too much about Mexico itself, but Mexico City makes up 17% of the GDP. Now, I don't think that's just the city. It's also like the whole area around it. It's kind of like its own state, I assume. So feel free to correct me in the comments. Now, this is a snapshot of the location. So as you see, you can see a handful of NBA cities like Los Angeles, Phoenix, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, New Orleans, Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, all those teams right there. So that is pretty far off. And just for comparison, Toronto, the other international team, is right there on the border. So it's right beside Detroit and New York City, not too far from Boston, Chicago, and Milwaukee. So I'm going to give you some flight times just as kind of an estimate of how long we're looking at. It's actually not as long as I thought. So Mexico City to Toronto, nonstop, 4.5 hours, which I haven't flown before, so this might not be too surprising to you. Mexico City to Boston, Massachusetts, 5 hours and 50 minutes nonstop. Again, not that bad compared to some flights in the NBA already. And then Mexico City to Portland, which would be their longest, most likely, is 7.5 hours. But this is another team that's already in the league. Miami to Portland is 7 hours and 25 minutes. So those are pretty much the exact same time frames, going to Miami to Portland and going to Mexico City to Portland. So it's really not that crazy of a travel schedule besides like international works. Now, getting more to a basketball sense, the NBA already has games in Mexico City and has already been building somewhat of a presence there. So I think it would be a smooth transition to an international market. And Mexico City, trust me, the population is there to fill it up every night if you market it right. And that would just be huge for all of Latin America, not just Mexico. And I definitely think you would see a lot more revenue coming in from countries in South America, definitely larger countries such as Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. So this is a win-win for both sides, not just the United States, but also Mexico and South America. And I try not to get political, but everybody knows that the relationship between the United States and Mexico and the population in both of them definitely kind of shaky right now. So I think this could definitely help build relations, and I'm just going to end it on that. Now, what division they would be in? Definitely the Southwest Division, 100%, with Dallas, Houston, Memphis, New Orleans, and San Antonio. These are the teams that it's easiest for them to travel to. Definitely those 3 teams in Texas. And it would make for some interesting matchups. San Antonio and Mexico City, that just sounds cool. Like, that just sounds cool. That's a game I'd want to watch. I don't care if both of those teams are tanking. So I definitely think Mexico City will be a prime location, and they would have to be in the NBA West. You can just look at a picture of the city. That's an NBA West city right there. That looks a lot like Phoenix to me. I've been to Phoenix once. I don't remember if there were any mountains in the background, but that looks hot. Not much snow there. They belong in the NBA West. End of discussion. And overall, I think Mexico City has a lot of positives and not many negatives. As long as the relationships between the United States and Mexico don't like totally crash, I think it's definitely a win-win all around. First off, revenue. You're not only making money from Mexico and Mexico City, but as already mentioned earlier, all countries and all the markets in Latin America. So you have all the islands and then all of South America. That's a big win. You're pretty much grabbing a whole continent if you could get them interested in pulling behind Mexico City. And then political, again, I don't want to dive into politics, but I think having a professional team in Mexico and what I think is the best league in North America the NBA. That's a huge win for everybody all around. Just keeping relations good and steady and having a lot of people that would probably speak out more on their political beliefs, whether you agree with them or not. Just having a team in Mexico City helps the whole, as I would say, environment of the politics, I think at least. So, and then for basketball wise, I would love to have a team in Mexico. It would just be cool. You would have a rivalry, Toronto in the East, Mexico City in the West. They play twice a year. That would just be cool. And again, the schedule would probably be adjusted. I would definitely still want every team to play twice a year. You might have to cut down on divisional games though. I don't know. I don't have all the logistics for the expansion itself. I'm just covering expansion cities. So let me know what you think about Mexico City joining the NBA. And another big question to ask that I'm not going to cover totally, but you could let me know in the comments is, how would this work if they added more than one team at a time, or even if they add one? Did they add them into off season, say, hey, you have to pick free agents? Or is there more of like a lottery system? Every team gets to protect 6 to 7 players, and you get to draft just so that you don't have to bring in every single player on your roster, because that'd be pretty hard if you only had 2 draft picks and had to fill out a 10-man roster and try to be competitive. You would probably see every expansion team most likely tank in that scenario unless they could just build a team of free agents. And as we see, free agents can be really great, or summers can be really great for free agents. You can have, like this summer, a loaded free agent class, or something like next summer where there's not many great players, even not many good role players. So that's a question that needs to be answered, but I'm just covering the cities. So let me know what you think about Mexico City, and again, I'll be covering 5 more cities. So subscribe if you're interested, and thanks for watching.